Oh, we're recording. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Deborah, for having me on your channel because the sound is all weird in the other direction.
Oh, that reminds me, I got to put my earbuds in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like when I couldn't hear you earlier because I didn't have mine. That's so funny. So, welcome everybody. We are looking into the case of Johnny Gosch. If you don't know the details of the case, I covered it. It's been a couple of months, and I apologize for the delay. We did get together and record, and quite an extensive recording, and then it was all fouled up, right? We don't even know what to say. There was interference and weirdness. So we decided to try again and try to get it a little easier to listen to. So very quickly, I will just gloss over the details for those who haven't seen the original video. Johnny Gosch was a paper boy. I think he was 12. I should have looked that up. See, if I'd done this 2 months ago, I would remember. I don't remember anything. He was a paper boy in West Des Moines, Iowa. And he would get up before dark every morning and walk to a meeting point in the neighborhood a few blocks away. It was like a corner, and they all congregated. And it was usually a bunch of paper boys, their older brothers or their dads or their mothers. And the guy from the newspaper would drop packages of newspapers, and they'd get theirs for their route, and off they'd go. And he had a little red wagon that he would dump his papers in. It was easier than carrying them. And occasionally his little dachshund would go with him. And this day the dachshund did go with him. It was the weekend and the paper was bigger. And so his father usually went with him on the weekend. And their routine was he would wake his dad up and they would go. He didn't wake his dad up that morning. Nobody knows why. He just didn't wake his dad up. So off he went, and this is September 5th, 1982. And he got to the meeting point and saw all the other paper boys, and it was all boys. And a number of fathers saw him. He was fine. He got his papers. He loaded his wagon. He and the dog were seen walking off down the street. Somebody saw him being followed and didn't really make anything of it at the time, but there was a man walking after him. So he disappeared. That, by the way, that's the crime. He disappeared. And he's never been found. Nobody knows what happened to him. But there's some stuff ahead of time. The day before, he was at a football game, a high school, junior high football game, and with his family. And he decided he wanted to go get popcorn or something. And his dad said, sure, go ahead. That's a small town too, by the way. And he left to get the popcorn and never came back. And after a while, the dad got kind of uncomfortable and went looking for him and found him under the bleachers talking to this man that the dad didn't recognize. The man saw his father coming and took off. And the dad said to Johnny, who was that? And he said, oh, he was a cop. He identified himself as a cop. And his father said something to him like, well, don't you know you're not supposed to talk to strangers? And Johnny's response, because he was just a really good kid, was, but he was a cop. Aren't we supposed to talk to cops? I thought it was okay. It didn't, So there was a very odd encounter, which will come back later to haunt everybody. So he disappears, and they call the police, the local police, and the local police were as unhelpful as they could possibly be. They told his parents, he's just a runaway. Call us back if he doesn't come home. He's just a runaway. And they knew he wasn't. He was the kind of kid who he wanted a dirt bike. And so he saved and saved and saved and saved and bought himself a dirt bike. But every week when he got paid and he put his money in the bank, he stopped and bought his mother a flower bought his mother a rose. It was just a thoughtful kid. He was known in his school for protecting kids from bullies. He would speak up. He was a good student. He was just a nice kid. So after he disappeared, shortly after, I don't have an exact date, but it was not too terribly long, a woman had an encounter in a parking lot in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, he's kidnapped from Des Moines, Iowa, but she's in this parking lot in Oklahoma, and a boy came running up to her. Help me, I'm Johnny Gosch. These men are kidnapping me. Help me, I want to go home. And the men came up and said, problem child, don't worry about it, and took him off. She didn't know who Johnny Gosch was. She didn't know the case. She didn't know anything about it. She thought, ooh, domestic squabble of some sort.
Yeah.
A couple months later, she picked up the paper, and there's the picture of the kid she saw in the parking lot. She called the police and she told them, but what could they do at that point? In 1984, his mother, out of the blue, got a phone call, and she said it was Johnny. He said, and she said he sounded drugged. And he said, Mom, save me. You've got to get me. You've got to come and get me. And he was pulled away from the phone. You could, clattering, and that was the end of that. And in 1984, another paperboy, same area, same city, same newspaper delivery system, disappeared on his paper route. Guy called Eugene Martin. So 2 years later, this other kid disappears. And 2 years after that, a third boy disappears. Same thing, same route. Now, he was not walking his paper route. He was a paper boy, but he wasn't walking his paper route officially. He was walking his paper route to get to a friend's house. And he was scooped up and disappeared, and they've never been found again. So I asked my husband, if you heard this story, what would you conclude? And his response was, oh, well, there was a serial killer in that town. But I think there's more to it. I don't know if I would go there. I would go to the obvious, which we have to be careful talking about on YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. So then his parents got an extortion letter in the mail, and it offered to get him away from a drug lord who had him in Mexico. And they paid $11,000 and they never got him back. And then an incident happened, which we'll get into, but let's, excuse me, let's start. And I'm not sure what the best place is to start. Maybe we should try to connect with one of the people that was at the scene. There was an adult there. I don't remember if he was a father or a newspaper person that was there that morning. And he got a partial license plate from a car that he saw following Johnny. So his name is John Rossi. And maybe we could ask him what he saw.
Rossi, you said?
Rossy.
Okay, so John Rossi. Could you tell us what you saw? The car that was following Johnny Gosch. It's weird. I'm seeing cars from a different era that would have nothing to do with that era. So,
well, they were old cars that were spotted. This is early 80s, 82.
yeah, but I'm seeing like 50s
Yeah,
style.
they were old cars, like from the 60s, maybe. Yes.
The one with those big fin.
I don't know. I don't know cars, but so does he remember what kind of car it was?
So can you tell us what kind of car it was? Coupe. He says coupe. I think it was black. And I'm hearing the song My Little Deuce Coupe.
Oh, did he see the guy?
Did you see the guy who was driving the car? Not clearly, no.
Hmm.
Anything at all, any details that you can remember? This is so weird, Helen, because I'm getting these visuals of like when the men wore the hats.
In the 50s?
Yeah, it's got a real 50s vibe. I don't know what that's about.
I could extrapolate from my suspicions that this has been going on for a long time. Do you know what I'm implying?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know why he's showing me stuff from the 50s. If he just saw the car, he wouldn't be connected with that other stuff. So what else? Mr. Rossi, can you tell us about the car that you saw following Johnny? Nobody else's car. We don't care. We want the one that was following Johnny. I'm still seeing the guy wearing the, like the hat, the fedora hat. The guy that was driving the car wearing the hat. So we couldn't see his hair because he was wearing a hat.
Maybe he was older.
That's the impression I get. Because he would certainly be out of place. Men weren't wearing hats then.
Not in the early 80s, no. Well, let's continue, and I have a feeling we'll be able to put it together.
Yeah.
So I'm trying, I think the easiest thing to do here is to ask Johnny what happened, because there's more that happened afterwards, and we need to ask about that. So his father would have no idea. His father was asleep. His mother was asleep. There was nobody. This one guy that you asked is the only guy that really saw anything at all. So what happened?
I just got this thing in my heart chakra. Like, what the guy is showing me is a past memory of his own. Like, he was from before.
Same thing happened to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all he could see, like a flashback. Okay. So I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, that was my suspicion. It's hard to talk about these things because there's certain words we can't use on YouTube. But
Yeah.
if people are smart, they know what we're trying to get at. Why would you kidnap a young boy? Think about it in a minute. Okay, so can Johnny tell what happened?
Okay. So Johnny Gosch.
Before you start, pardon?
Did he have blonde hair?
I don't know. I've only ever seen black and white pictures.
I get this distinct picture of Dennis the Menace with his red wagon.
Oh, he didn't look like him. He was quite handsome. He was really an attractive boy. Can he talk about the day before when he saw the guy under the bleachers?
Okay. So, Johnny Gosch, can you tell us about the day before you were taken, when you were talking to the man under the bleachers? Yeah, he told him he was a detective, and that's why he was in plain clothes. And he was investigating. He told him he was investigating missing children. And Johnny, of course, being the sweet little boy, was wanting to be helpful. So he asked about a specific child, but Johnny didn't know the child he was asking about. And at that point, he was still very innocent. He didn't feel any fear about this man. He just believed he was a cop.
Did the cop want him to go with him someplace?
Did the cop ask you to go with him someplace? Not at that time, he didn't. It feels like he was making first contact, setting the stage.
Well, that cop was identified by the father in a police lineup, not a lineup, but a photo array. They presented an array. and he wasn't in it. And the father said, no, I would recognize who I saw. And they found a bunch that they hadn't presented, and he was in there. So he wasn't come. But he wasn't investigating any kids. He was up to no good. So let's continue. So what happened the morning that he got up? Did his father just not wake up when he tried to wake him up, or did he not bother?
So, Johnny, the morning you disappeared, why didn't you wake up your father as you normally did? The cop had told him not to. They were going to connect and talk some more the next day.
Oh my God. Jeez. So off he goes to get his newspapers. What happened?
So you went to get your newspapers. What happened after that? Yeah, he was pulling the wagon with the papers, and that same cop came up to speak to him, and he gave him this story about, we need your help. You can help us to save this child. And so he put him in a car and drove away.
I don't think it could not have been voluntary, because he just abandoned his little dog. Ask him that.
Well, tell us about that, Johnny. You left your dog behind. The cop told him to let the dog go. He would run home. He would be fine. This was an emergency. He needed his help. And so he grabbed his arm and kind of pulled him. So at that instant, Johnny's now a little concerned, but he's still thinking it's a cop. And he wants to help save this kid.
There's the assumption that that first car took him around the corner and down the road, stopped, and he transferred him to another car. Is that what happened?
So, Johnny, the car that you initially got into, were you transferred to another car after that? He doesn't know. He's saying they knocked him out.
They drugged him. Okay.
He wasn't honest enough to know what happened after that.
Where did they go?
Do you know where they took you? Do you have a clue? He said it seems like they drove a long time, but then he was kind of in and out, so that could be, he could be wrong about that. It felt like to him it took a really long time because he's scared and he doesn't know.
Well, if you're under the influence of some sort of a knockout thing, your time is distorted. Yeah. So I think we can assume we know what happened. Is that what happened? I mean, was he held captive and exploited?
So they took you somewhere, and were there other children at this place you went to? Yeah, they kept him in the basement. There were a number, like maybe eight kids. So they had, like ratty little mats that they each slept on, and they would bring them food.
How'd they keep them quiet? That's a lot of kids.
I don't know. Well, they were drugging them. They put drugs in the food to keep them calm. And then after they've been there for a while and they've indoctrinated them, then the kids just kind of, it's like they disassociate.
Yeah, you lose hope.
Existing. They're not really conscious.
So did he get taken out of state?
Do you know if they took you out of state? Eventually, yeah, they took him a lot of places.
Was that him in Oklahoma in the parking lot who approached the woman?
So did you approach a lady in a parking lot in Oklahoma and ask for help? Was that you? Yes.
Was that him on the phone calling his mother for help?
Did you call your mother for help? He says no.
There's a lot of sick people, Did he ever get taken to Mexico?
Did he go to Mexico?
Well, remember his parents got a phone call. He was with the drug lord in Mexico. Did he get taken to Mexico? Was he even ever in Mexico?
Do you know, Johnny, were you ever in Mexico? No. He said that would have been too complicated transporting across boundaries like that. So, no, they stayed in the States, but they did move around. And after a while, I mean, they don't really know what's going on. They're taken to places. Certain things are expected of them. They bring them back, they drug them, keep them very docile.
Does he know if Eugene Martin, the paper boy, was taken by the same people?
Johnny, do you know about Eugene Martin? Was he taken by the same group? No, he said you'd be surprised how many similar groups are out there.
I wouldn't. Sad to say, I wouldn't. What about Mark Allen?
Allison? Martin Allison?
Mark Allen.
Mark Allen. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing. Mark Allen, Johnny. Did you know anything about Mark Allen? He did know him. So did you meet him? Yes, he was at the same place for a while. And how long did the boys stay in this place? Did they grow into adulthood there? No. They got moved on before they hit adulthood, when they were still small and controllable.
Where'd they take them next?
Do you know where they took them after that? Some just disappeared. They never saw them again. So what about you, Johnny? What did they do with you? Did they take you somewhere else? You say no. So are you still living? He says he's still living. So are they forcing you to assist them? Is that what it is? Yeah. So the ones that they can control, they train them to assist.
Well, I think they use threats against the other children to control certain ones, to do what they want.
Yeah, but they train them to help with recruiting.
I know.
And once they've done that, then they don't need so many drugs.
There was an event that happened that I really want to ask him about. In 1997, at 2:30 in the morning, his mother, Noreen, his parents got divorced. His mother, Noreen, was woken up by a knock on the door. Two young men. One of them said he was Johnny. And he had the same birthmark. And she just said she thought it was him grown up. And he stayed a couple of hours and he explained he could not stay because other people's lives were threatened if he didn't return. And the guy that was with him was there to make sure he didn't talk out of line. And he told her, what had happened to him and that he couldn't come home. And she wrote a book about it. It's really devastating. But nobody believes her. It's just unbelievable. Nobody believes that she's telling the truth. Was she telling the truth?
So, Johnny, did you visit your mother in the early morning hours, as she wrote about? Was that you? He says it was him. So, help us to understand, why did they bring you back to your mother? What was the point of that? He made a bargain with them. He would cooperate if he could see his mother one more time, to let her know he was alive.
Wow. It's just really dark. So she got a package of pictures on her front doorstep in 2006. And they were a variety of pictures of kids in various situations, bound, gagged, etc. And one of them looked like him. Was that a photograph of him?
So, Johnny, was there a photograph of you in that box of pictures your mother got left at her doorstep? Yeah. I mean, the people who do this, they get a sadistic pleasure out of it.
Was it all boys?
What's
Sorry.
that?
All boys?
Is it all boys? The people that he's with, yes. But he knows there are others.
Yeah, in one of the pictures, there was a girl, and they think they know, her mother thinks she recognizes her. She was a teenager. I think she got taken off her bicycle or something one morning on a bike ride. Does he know anything about, are any well-known kidnapped victims that he ever encountered?
So, Johnny, have you ever encountered any other victims who are well known that we might recognize their names? They change their names. So, no. I mean, it's possible there could be, but he doesn't know that. And after a while, when they've been drugged for so long, they don't remember their names.
Or they dissociate? So does the name Paul Bonacci mean anything to him?
Was there a Paul Bonacci, or do you know that name? He says yes.
So Paul Bonacci went to I think he was a district attorney, John Vandekamp, and told him the whole story. Not specifically about Johnny Gosch, but about this enterprise, this ring, and connected it to the Franklin savings and loan scandal in Omaha. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Okay, there's really weird connection here. Why would corruption in a savings and loan be connected to the disappearance of children? Well, let's do a little basic math. So the savings and loan was run by a guy called Larry King, and not the Larry King from television, a different Larry King. And somehow or other, financial malfeasance happened. I probably never really completely understood it the first time I read it, but it was just some sort of a financial mess. And he got caught and tried to weasel out of it by ratting on this extensive ring of highly placed people in business, but especially in government. Now it's beginning to sound a little bit like QAnon. Sometimes a conspiracy really is a conspiracy, you know.
Yeah.
But this kid was from a troubled home, dabbling in drugs, living on the street, got sucked into it. And, you know, you can manipulate people that have dependencies. And that's what happened with him. And he was used, he claims he was used to help lure Johnny. Is that how he knows him?
So, Johnny, Paul Bonacci, was he there?
Bonacci.
Bonacci? Okay. Paul Bonacci.
No, Bonacci.
Bonacci, okay.
Yeah.
So, Johnny, was Paul Bonacci involved in your abduction? Yeah, but I get this energy from him, like he wasn't afraid of him. He was kind of benevolent. Like,
yeah, he was
kind of
just another kid. He was just another
friend.
kid, yeah, who was doing their bidding for his next fix, basically. Well, this poor kid went to the district attorney, I guess it was, and told him the story, and there was a court case, and nobody believed him, and he got put in prison for perjury. It's just, it's really powerful group of people.
So, did he live in prison?
I think he's still alive. I think he got out. I could be wrong about that. You know, I don't know.
Because you would think they put him away so they can take care
Silence him. Yeah. Well, I think the threat, you know, of just being locked up without access, you know. So back up a little bit. The day that he disappeared, the police didn't want to cooperate. First of all, the night before, this cop approaches him. We didn't know that he arranged to meet him again, right? The chief of police didn't want anything to do with looking for him. Oh, he's just a runaway. Everything his parents tried to do, they put up roadblocks. They called her crazy. They called her paranoid. They called her hysterical. They called her extreme. She would go to the ends of the earth, any length, to find her son. She advocated for him. She helped to establish with Adam Walsh's father the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They were the two that got that going. They got the children on the milk cartons. You know, she managed to create something out of this terrible situation, to help people. She's in her 80s. She still keeps her porch light on for him. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What does he know about his mother? How much is he aware, or is he just too far gone?
So, Johnny, are you aware of the situation with your mother, that she's still waiting for you to come home? It's kind of foggy. It's like he kind of knows, but he's disassociated from it. So it's not like it's front of mind, because he has to find a way to function himself.
Is there any way they're ever going to be able to put a stop to this group?
Johnny, do you know, is there a possibility or something out there that will stop this group? Well, there's lots of things out there, but they're connected so well that they're connected in all the places to cover it up. So it's unlikely.
So here's a question for him. Is this group connected to who killed John Benet Ramsey?
Johnny, do you know, is this group connected to the group in Boulder who were involved in John Benet Ramsey's death? He doesn't know. They might be, but he's not sure. It's very
Go ahead.
expensive. It's like
Yeah.
tentacles.
Yeah, that's why I always think of like the tentacles of fungus, that go underground. I always think of that, like the mushroom. Yeah. I think we should probably clarify that we did the case of John Benet Ramsey, and we got a ton of information, but we can't talk about it. People are still alive. People are still, and they're all of the people that are involved, and there are people involved are highly placed, wealthy, and powerful. And maybe a day will come when we can talk about it, but it's not going to be today. And the same with the Maura Murray case. We got some really interesting information about that, but we can't talk about it. Not yet. We'll keep our eyes open. Yeah. So any other thing we should ask him about?
Yeah, Johnny, do you think that you will ever be free of these people? He's just, oh, it's so sad. It wouldn't matter if he was. He's
too
not the same
damaged.
person. What would he do? Where would he
He's
go?
too damaged. That's right. I don't think we asked this yet, but was the police department difficult because they're involved too? Are they taking cutbacks or something? Pay? Are they getting?
From his town, you mean?
Yeah, the actual police chief and the cop was on the police department. Why are they involved?
Yeah, well, I felt that right away at the beginning.
Turning a blind eye. Yeah.
So, Johnny, are the police turning a blind eye to the situation? Yeah, kickbacks, payoffs. It behooves them.
It's appalling. It's just appalling.
It's almost like it's so normalized that people don't even raise an eyebrow. It's just the way it is. Certain groups of people have these privileges. They're not going to change it. So they go along
Certain
with
men with money and position and power, kind of makes me think of people like Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was connected in unbelievable numbers of ways to unbelievable numbers of people, because at a certain echelon of financial and power levels, you become immune to the law in a lot of ways. You can insulate yourself. Yeah. It's terrible. I like to tell the story about the fact that I can't even, I get parking tickets. I get tickets when I'm not even in my car. I got a violation when I wasn't even in my car. I'm never going to forgive them for that. The cops came to my front door to issue me a ticket because my tires were not turned to the curb.
Wow.
I don't even have to drive to get in trouble. Do you believe that? And some people can get away with the most incredible things.
Well,
Karma.
the case in the news right now, the P. Diddy case.
Oh, you know what? I know who he is, but I don't like that kind of music. And I've never followed the case because I looked at his picture once a long time ago and I knew what he was. None of this surprises me. It only surprises me it didn't come out sooner.
And guess who he's friends with?
I don't know who.
Our president, who says he's a fine man.
Friends.
Yep. Like he's friends with Epstein. Interesting
Yeah.
company he keeps.
Define friend. I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. That you just proved my point, really. You know, the high-placed people with power and money, and they travel in overlapping circles, and all kinds of stuff goes on. And that sounds very conspiratorial, but sometimes a conspiracy is a conspiracy. You know, sometimes it just is.
Yeah.
Well, you can rest assured that Deborah and I are never going to be involved in anything like that because we're too poor. Amongst other things. I should qualify that.
Yeah.
Well, that's just such a sad story.
It is sad. But you know, one day he'll be free of this world and his soul will go on. He'll be reunited with his mother and he'll have another opportunity. So at least there's that.
I feel very bad for his mother.
Yeah.
Because she's just dedicated her whole entire life. She's managed to bring some good, you know, out of a terrible situation, but it ruined her life. It ruined her marriage because, you know, very few marriages survive that kind of stress.
Yeah.
You can't, every time you look at each other, you know, you think of the child that's missing. It's just terrible. Well, Deborah, on that happy note, thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are you okay when we do these and you go, it's such a sad, heavy kind of feeling. Are you okay when we're done?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it every day, but we space it out, so it's okay. And I have my protection.
Good. Well, the next one we're going to do, although we're not going to do it today, but although it's a heavy duty story, the main person involved is just a really good person. And there's a lot of entertainment and lightheartedness and interesting stuff in the case. So it will be a lot easier to cover. It's more over a longer period of time. So there are a lot more questions. So it's more work for you, but it is more, even though it's a terrible crime, I won't say more. I don't want to give it away. Okay. So thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.